In the immediate period before the Second World War, there was a great rabbi living in Vilna named Rabbi Chaim Ozer Grzinski. Rabbi Chaim Ozer Grzinski was helping many Jews who were war refugees. He had funds that he distributed. The world was in a state of upheaval, as you well know. One day, Rabbi Grzinski, who was also a Talmudic genius, was walking with a disciple of his. And a young man came over to him and asked him for directions to the train station. So Rabbi Grzinski turned to his disciple. He said, the train station is about 4 or 5 blocks away. He turned to his disciple and said, please walk him to the train station. Okay, so the disciple takes the young man, he walks with him, he goes to the train station, and eventually comes back to Rabbi Grzinski. And he said, Rebbe, why did you send me to walk that young man to the train station? I mean, you could have just told him, go right, and then make a left, and then make another right, and if worse comes to worse, ask for directions. Why was it necessary for me to walk him to the train station, something you've never asked me to do? And obviously, you had something in mind. So Grzinski looked at his disciple, he said, didn't you hear when he asked me for directions, he stuttered. He has a very bad stutter. Now, if I would give him directions and I would tell him at the next corner or 2 blocks away, ask for more directions, he would keep having to stutter. And every time he has to ask somebody and has to stutter, I'm sure it's very painful to him. In order for him not to ask again, I asked you to walk him. Better, you should walk him all the way, and you should save him the need to have to go and put himself through the difficulty of having to ask for directions. Now, what's important over here is to realize that even giving somebody directions is obviously an act of kindness. It's an act of chesed. It's a tremendous, very big benefit. There was actually a man in New York who memorized the entire New York subway system. True story. Because he knew that people are always asking for directions, and what time does the train leave, and which train do you get on? And he memorized the entire subway system just in order to be able to answer those questions for people, because he knows that it was a very much overlooked act of kindness to be able to help people out. So just to give him directions would be an act of kindness, but I have to take into consideration more than just what he's asking. I have to take into consideration where else can I help him out? And if I'm able to help him by perhaps not making him ask for more directions, why not do that? Say you walk a couple of blocks. What you walked, you're rewarded for. That's an act of kindness, and it's nowhere near as difficult to do that than it is for him to have to open his mouth with a painful stutter.